Hello everybody. So I have kind of a more focused video today on HIMS stock, talking about some of the FUD, and I guess it's not that big of a FUD, but some analysts making rather lukewarm statements about HIMS has led the stock a little down. And it makes me wonder, is there somebody out there who wants cheap shares? Because here's what's going on. The stock was down 3% yesterday. Down, if you include after hours, down 7% in 5 days, in a week. And again, why is that? It's because we've had underwhelming ratings, right? We had, I think it was Bank of America raising the price target by $1. Truist not really being too excited on the stock, and then you have the peptide question, where a lot of big pharma, from what I understand, want people to reconsider the peptides and reconsider compounding, because of course they want to patent them, and they want to create a drug, and they want to sell an arm and a leg for it, as it is normal in the traditional pharmaceutical industry. Don't forget, GLP-1s are naturally occurring, right? The part of the patents in GLP-1 is the modification that they made so that it's not eaten in the stomach or attacked when it gets to the stomach. But as we saw the whole drama, you could have used another technique, like a liposomal encapsulation technique, and just reused the natural compounds. And that's the crux of the argument. Peptides are evolution. Peptides, of course, are very tiny chains of amino acid, and they happen to be really hard to patent. If you listen to a lot of podcasts about peptides, like I have, like we have to if we invest in HIMS, they're very, very hard to patent, and you gotta modify slightly in order to be able to patent them. And if you succeed that, then boom, you have regulatory capture, right? All of a sudden, you can capture the market. And try to bring this under your purview, and use the traditional pharma tactics. And it's a classic fight. This is a classic fight. I cover stable coins, and on this channel, I cover crypto on this channel. This is like stable coins versus banks, right? The banks don't want to have to pay money on the checking accounts. They want to keep their turf, right? So this is to be expected. Of course they'll fight. Yeah. I mean, investors should not be surprised. I mean, these are legitimate concerns. I would argue that these type of fights, the best success they can have with these fights is a delay, right? A delay. They can delay it by a year, by 2 years, But eventually, Uber made it to New York City. Eventually, Uber disrupted the taxi. Eventually, Netflix disrupted cable TV. I don't think you can go against progress. And if you look at the success of peptides around the world, I think we're headed there. And I think HIMS eventually will capture a large share of that business. But here is the problem. Concerns are legitimate, but wait for it. Let me tell you the problem. HIMS is way too cheap. Peptides, in my view, have never been priced into the stock in any way. We are back under 35. We never got back to the levels of 2025 when we were trading, between 50 and 70 for many, many months, and we only had one out of the two peptides. We only had one partnership out of the two peptides. Out of GLP-1 peptides I'm talking about. We didn't have any hope for other peptides back then. The stock was nearly twice as expensive. The stock price was nearly twice as high, and there was less of a competitive position 12 months ago. So yeah, in my view, this stock is way too cheap. And the FUD on peptides should not impact this stock until we reach like $100, until we trade at like a regular valuation for this type of company, which is the leader in telehealth. HIMS is the absolute leader in telehealth in the United States. They have nearly a 50% share, and the rest of the other players is ultra fragmented, like super fragmented. You have Row, who has like a 12 or 13% market share, and then it's just a bunch of teeny tiny players. HIMS is the large consolidator in this space, and they're a worldwide consolidator. I want to point out in my spreadsheet here. So I put 35% next 12 months for revenue growth. You can see this is a slide from my prior video where I show you how I calculated that, how I ended up getting 35%. And feel free to pause and look at that slide. And that's because I included eucalyptus, right? I included eucalyptus, but the eucalyptus acquisition is completed, and they have the data. They know how well eucalyptus is going. So my guess is that I put 35% in there. That was my mid estimate, my average estimate of what I think they'll do in revenue growth. They could do much more than that. And I believe this is a stock that needs a major guidance update. They haven't updated their guidance in a very, very long time. We have a nice long-term target. I think these need to be adjusted too. When they adjust their guidance, this stock could actually look much, much, much cheaper than it is. So to go back to the peptides issue, yeah, sure, it's a concern. Sure, there could be delays about peptides. But then again, the stock is not even back up to the level it was in 2025 when we didn't have any conversation about peptide. I don't think it's priced into the stock in any ways. So Wall Street likes to put a narrative on the stock. It seems to me like now that we sell both types of GLP-1s on HIMSS, right? Now that HIMSS has both types of GLP-1s, the FUD has moved away from GLP-1s, and now the FUD is about peptides, right? So we had the ED pill FUD, then we had the hair loss FUD, then we had the anxiety FUD, we had the cost of marketing. You remember that cost of marketing FUD? Oh, the cost of marketing was too high FUD. Then we had the GLP-1 FUD, and now we have the peptides FUD. Wall Street just loves to dislike this stock. It just loves to not like the stock. And let me conclude. And this is where, of course, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you're not going to learn much here because I've said this so many times in my HIMSS videos. Again, this is a stock that I've covered since $5. This has been and I was late, right? This has been a long stock on the channel. One of the earliest stock I ever covered on the channel. Anyways, Wall Street still doesn't get him. So I've said that multiple times on this channel, but they don't get him. So first of all, it's 90% recurring revenue business. Now, back then that was relevant because back then SaaS was a high flyer, and you ended up with anomalies where the numbers for HIMSS and the numbers to a random SaaS business looked roughly the same, but you had the random SaaS business trading at a 15 times valuation of HIMSS. HIMSS is still trading so cheap, while it arguably should trade closer to what a SaaS business trades roughly right now, because the main difference, of course, is that HIMSS has an actual physical product, pills, right? The product is pills. And they have new verticals, right? They also have labs. I could have talked about labs. They also have, cancer detection, testing, all that sort of stuff. So they have other stuff, but it's still mostly a physical product. So it's much harder to disrupt with AI, right? And this is, of course, an Elon Musk take, right? He talks big, Elon Musk, about physical thing and making physical things. Physical things have a hard time to be disrupted by AI. HIMSS sells mostly a physical product, and you can't do without a physical product, but all of the rest is digital. All of the rest at HIMSS is digital. So HIMSS, this is the kind of math that I come up whenever I talk about HIMSS. HIMSS equals, right? It's an e-doctor and an e-pharmacy, and more and more I'm gonna put this e-labs, electronic labs, more and more, right? They launch that. They're pretty successful about that. So e-doctor plus e-pharmacy plus e-labs plus customized drug, and all of it minus insurance. And why is it minus insurance? Because if you accept insurance, the insurance will tell you what to do. The insurance will guide decisions, right? Insurance companies hire a bunch of pharmacists to, kind of orient the claims from the patient and say, oh, did the doctor overprescribe, etc. The insurance are sort of gatekeepers, where if you want to be fully free, the doctors want to be fully free and prescribe whatever they think is needed, insurance can be very restrictive. HIMSS doesn't have that. That's actually a big plus. At least that's what I see. That's the way I see it. So, to me, this stock is still very misunderstood. How long can it be misunderstood? This stock could be misunderstood for a decade. Amazon was certainly misunderstood for 13, 14 years. So it could continue to be undervalued until the market actually realizes that HIMSS has a lot going for it. HIMSS disrupts. It disrupts what? It disrupts mom and pop doctors. And you may say, oh, my insurance covers doctor visit. Well, they may cover your physical, right? They cover physical, maybe you have a $10 copay or that. But they don't cover a follow-up, right? And mom and pop doctors oftentimes are very rent-seeking, right? You'll go see them. They'll do your labs, they'll do everything, and then they'll say, oh, I want to see you for a readout of your labs. I want to see you for a follow-up. And the follow-up, of course, is not covered nearly as good as your yearly physical by your insurance. So they're disrupting mom-and-pop doctors, the bread and butter. Of course, there's things mom-and-pop doctors are always going to be needed. But that's the 80-20. That's Pareto's law, right? 80% of the business, 80% of the fat of the margin, I think, is going to flow to platforms like HIMSS. HIMSS is going to go after the biggest slice of the pie, those easy visits, right? And doctors, of course, will always be needed in person for more complex cases. But HIMSS doesn't do that. HIMSS does mild things, minor issues is what HIMSS. It's moving into medium health issues, but it does mostly minor issues. And then what else? You have a disruptor of pharmacy. It's a digital pharmacy, so it disrupts 45,000 retail pharmacies. I think that's a very, very big deal. And it's, of course, the HIMSS prescription is also captive to the HIMSS doctor, and it's vertically integrated. It's all one and the same. You have your HIMSS doctor, and you have your HIMSS prescription with your HIMSS doctor. And of course, to further add a moat, HIMSS has customized drugs. So they if you go look at, say, their heart health drugs or statins, things like that, they customize it for you. This customization, of course, is aligned with how we do business in the 21st century. Today, everything is customized. Your YouTube feed is customized. Your Spotify music is customized. Your Amazon is customized. Your Netflix is customized. Everything is customized today. And I happen to believe that the drugs that may be needed to cure whatever ailment one may have also need to be customized, because 500 milligrams or 1 gram is not enough of a choice. Perhaps you need 625 milligrams. Or that makes sense. I don't know if it makes any sense. Like, we're all different weights. Why do we have such gaps in milligrams among the drugs, right? The traditional pharma industries have fragmented the sector. This is a small pill, medium-sized pill, big pill. That's moving away, and we're moving away from that. I think we're moving towards fully customized medications for you, and I think HIMSS is at the forefront of that, and a lot of people like that very much. I could also put it there, I didn't put it there, but I could also put it in there. It's a marketing innovation. HIMSS is a big marketing innovator. It does not make you feel bad about getting treatment. For that, I suggest you look at, for example, the way HIMSS is treating ED, creating these ED mints and having a very approachable marketing. I used to make a comparison between the marketing of a famous blue pill from some famous pharma company, and then the marketing of HIMSS. And I used to show back to back which one makes you feel like you actually have a problem. And I'll tell you that it's not HIMSS's product. And so HIMSS's product approaches the marketing in a very customer-oriented way. Yes, there's an issue. Yes, you can fix your issue, but the way the packaging, the way the product is presented is not going to make you feel bad about treating your issue. And if you do that, you increase good outcomes. You have better outcomes. Because all of a sudden, customer compliance, the customer is more likely to actually take the pill because the customer feels good about taking the pill. So I should add marketing too. I think marketing is also a big deal for HIMSS. But let me conclude with this. And labs, right? The disruption of labs with the Tribe acquisition, with the little Lancets. They are launching these mail-in Lancets, right? Where you can just get it on home. You click a button. Oh, they have pain-free needles. Right, they acquired this company who does pain-free needles, like super micro needles that you don't feel. That was based on their research. Something like 1 out of 5 person actually has a fear of needles, and it's like a big hurdle for people to get their labs because they have a fear of needles. So HIMSS, in a typical 0-1 fashion, in order to avoid people with a fear of needles, they acquired this painless needle company. The company follows 0-1 to 0-1. It's the 0-1 playbook. All of that is 0-1. The customer is king. Customer centric. Redraw the business. redraw the industry entirely, the boundaries of the industry entirely. To me, this is what HIMS is doing. But the market, of course, is going to take forever to see it. And the most misunderstood part, and of course, I think people having Wall Street analysts can understand why an e-pharmacy is better, or why a digital doctor is better, or why a painless needle is better. I think that's easier to understand. What's tough to understand for traditional health, for trad health, for TradFi, is that actually no health insurance is a 0-to-1 move. No health insurance is a 0-to-1 move. As Andrew Dudham has said multiple times, they are actually cheaper than copays. And I had made calculation, like if you go with HSA, your yearly amount with the HSA roughly equals to something like 4 or 5 drugs with HIMS for your yearly HSA amount. So it's actually, in fact, cheaper than copays, which is a very big deal. Another big deal, of course, is well related to cheaper than copays. Is also the only way for the insurance industry to make more revenue each year is to raise its prices each year. They have to raise the prices each year because of a medical loss ratio, because they can't exceed an 85% medical loss ratio. So the traditional incentive in the traditional healthcare in the US is to raise prices. You gotta raise the prices each year. HIMS is not in that incentive structure because they don't accept insurance. That's why they're not in that incentive structure. They don't accept insurance. Therefore, they don't have to raise their prices every year to increase the revenue. They increase the revenue in a much more economic way as opposed to a regulatory way is how they increase their revenue. One of the big advantages of HIMS is transparent pricing. How many times have you been to a doctor and you don't know how much it's going to cost? Or they'll tell you, oh, if you owe us anything, we'll send you something in the mail. If you owe us anything, because they can't even figure it out at the doctor's office, how much it's going to cost. So they sent you a bill in the mail, and you better catch that bill, because if you for some reason you miss that bill, you may get in trouble, right? So HIMS doesn't have this issue. You have clear, upfront, transparent pricing. This is a very big deal in the 21st century. You see a doctor right away, of course. This is not unique to HIMS, right? Amazon does the same thing. A few companies do the same thing. But this is kudos to Amazon and kudos to HIMS, right? A lot of traditional mom and pop doctors, you don't see them right away. They still haven't made that move, right? You don't let your plan decide your prescription. That's another big deal that HIMS is without insurance, right? Take GLP-1s. Your insurance may cover Wegovy, but maybe it doesn't cover tirzepatide, for example. Well, you can choose what's best for you directly with HIMS without having your insurance tell you, oh, this is what we cover, we don't cover this, you gotta use this, you can't use this. And then the biggest innovation in my view is that you may know that often in the US, you have a prescriptions card and then you have a health insurance card, and they're kind of managed separately, right? Not at HIMS, because you don't have that insurance legacy drag. You can create a new business model. The business model of HIMS is a monthly payment for curing any minor ailment you may have. You have a monthly fee, and that monthly fee includes your initial doctor visit, and it includes follow-ups when needed. So you bundle the cost. The cost is bundled in a monthly subscription. And I think if you add all of this together, this makes for a very special business. And I think Wall Street still has a very long way understanding HIMS. There's still a very long time that Wall Street needs to work on HIMS to fully understand the different facets of the business model. In my view, this is the real story. Whether peptides get approved this month, next month, or next year, or even 3 years from now, I don't think it should have an impact on the stock price just yet, because none of this is reflected in that stock price. I mean, to me, the stock is trading at 3 times gross profit, right? It's trading at 24 times EBITDA, which is very cheap. But the key question you got to ask yourself is what if they stop spending on marketing? What would happen to that EBITDA, right? To that price to EBITDA? My guess is that the EBITDA would go through the roof, and you would find that the PE on a stock like HIMS with marketing expense not in growth mode anymore, with just a maintenance marketing expense, my guess is that you would find that it's trading at a very, very dirt cheap PE as well. But that marketing expense is working really well for HIMS. I mean, they keep growing. Like the growth is just there. The growth is absolutely there. Like look at the 5-year period. The growth is absolutely there. And we get growth FUD too once in a while. People saying, oh, the growth is gonna stop. The business is gonna come to a halt at some point. Anyways, I don't see that happening. This is one of my largest positions. I love him very much. I love the stock. I think it's a great stock. But it's just for me, right? It's not investment advice. It's not financial advice. I'm just telling you my journey, what I think about a stock. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you're entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.